Hello everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster3, and finally I'm back with a new review video or horror review video, because I haven't made a review video in quite a while. So I thought for myself, why should I not do that? Because sometimes when you watch a film, you kind of forget about it like 1 week after you've seen it. It's not really all the time that it just turns out that the film is bad, and that's the reason why. It's just that when you watch so many movies, you really kind of mix them up together. So yeah, that's the reason why. But today's video I'm going to make a review of is a film called Remote Control, which I think was featured in one of my latest update videos. Now you might ask yourself right away, like, why do you put this in like the horror review section or like whatever? But I would argue that this is a horror film. But I will explain it after a while once I get into the review itself. But this film is about this character Cosmo, who is played by Matt Dillon. No, not Matt. Kevin Dillon. Sorry. So he plays Cosmo, and he's like working in this like video rental store along with his friend Georgie. So you get a whole lot of really interesting like VHS tapes. So I mean, if you do like some of those like old school type VHS tapes or like old school like video stores, you'll really have some eye candy in the background. I constantly looked at the background like, oh, I recognize that film. I recognize that film. So it has a very 80s feeling to it. But anyway, there's a lady that comes into this place, and obviously, I mean, Kevin Dillon's character, he just falls flat for this lady right from the get go, really. But the problem is she's already in a relationship with another guy who's kind of like a douchebag. But well, we'll get to that later on, because I don't want to spoil too much of the film itself. But they eventually get this like videotape in, which I think it was some sort of weird like machine that kind of played this VHS tape. And it was like a specific VHS tape, so it was like some sort of like weird sci-fi film, and whoever watches that kind of gets like hypnotized in a way, and they just turn out to be like crazy killers if you watch that, or if you don't like take the tape out. So they kind of like get hypnotized by that, and there's like some sort of like secret company that has produced all these tapes. So it's basically up to Kevin Dillon, his love interest, and his friend Georgie to rescue the world, and like pretty much trying to destroy all these copies of this specific tape. And obviously they have to travel to other like video stores in order to do that. So that's really the main storyline. I don't want to like leave out anything else other than that, but that's for the storyline. Now, I said before, why would I put this like in a horror review? I would say the first half almost feels like your typical type of like 80s romantic comedy film almost. But then at the halfway point, it just gets absolutely crazy, and there's like gunfights, and it really reminded me of the film called The Hidden from 1987. That's another really underrated film. Is it 87 or 88? I'm not really sure about The Hidden, but The Hidden really I mean, this one really reminded me of The Hidden. So if you like that type of film, this is a similar type of deal. So I mean, if you can put The Hidden in a horror section or whatever, I'd put this one in the horror section as well. Even though the first half feels more like a romantic comedy almost. But yeah, I mean, for the film itself, what I really liked about it was just the whole very interesting type of very interesting way of like progressing the film forward, because I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before in terms of like, I mean, I think it was very creative the way like all of the ideas they put into this film. I mean, sure, some of the effects have is probably dated at this point, but I would say they're more charming than bad in my personal opinion. Sometimes they can just be really bad and just throws you off, but I wouldn't say that's the point, or that's not really the issue with this one. The acting is overall pretty darn good as well, especially for Kevin Dillon. I think he did an amazing job. I don't really understand why not more people talk about him, and it seems like most people talk about his brother. But I mean, I do like both actors in general, and it's just such an awesome thing to have this in the collection, because apparently this was limited to only 1,000 copies as well. So that's really cool. But I also want to say that this film is directed by, I didn't even realize that before I picked this movie up, but this is directed by the same guy, or like same director that directed Squirm, Just Before Dawn, which is like a really atmospheric 80s slasher film. And he also made, let's see, what's that other film? Blue. Sunshine, I believe it was called. That was a strange film. But then he also directed Satan's Little Helper, which I think is a very underrated film that I've never really heard anyone talk about that one, or not enough times, I wouldn't say. But the director I'm referring to is Jeff Lieberman, of course. So if you like any of his other films, give this one a go. I don't know what else to say about it. The soundtrack is really atmospheric and really cool as well. Very 80s. It's sort of like a weird action, sci-fi, horror film. Is in the last half of the film, I would say as well. So, like I said, the acting is good. The camera work and lighting is really great. But I mean, I think they had enough budget for that anyway. And what else can I talk about? The effects, like I said before, some of them might look a little bit dated, but other than that, I think it's a pretty darn entertaining film. So, if you look into this and you think, oh, it's just like a romantic comedy, well, you're wrong, because I would say this is a sort of a horror film in a way. But yeah, I've already explained why. So yeah, but yeah, Remote Control, I really really enjoy this. I actually gave, let's see, what did I give this on IMDb? Of course, it doesn't show up, but I always have to double check. Why I should have done this before. My God, what am I doing? Well, I might just take a pause right here, because otherwise the video is just gonna go on. Yep, I found it. I gave this an 8 out of 10, so I just wanted to double check on that. But like I said before, if you liked any of the director's other work, I would definitely recommend this one. This is such a special type of film. I think it's almost like one of a kind. Not one of a kind, but I think the premise was just the way, maybe the main reason why I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, Remote Control, 8 out of 10. So there you go. That's my review for Remote Control from 1988. Sorry. And I would say this is also yet another film which not really many people talk about in general, which is really unfortunate. I'm not sure if this was ever released in any other release or whatever. I might have had a DVD release, but I think this is the only official Blu-ray release of this film, which is really a shame since it's only limited to 1,000 copies. But yeah, whatever. So yeah, but yeah, I can highly recommend this one, Remote Control, 8 out of 10. So yeah, that's it. That's for the review. And if you want me to make any other review video of any other horror film you know of, please let me know, and I'll see if I can get to that. It kind of depends on what type of title it is as well, because usually I try to review of special type of films, not special type of films, but films that I feel not enough people talk about. Whether it's been a really bad film or really good film, it's pretty much like obscure stuff in general, because I think I've been talking about this before, that no one really wants me to see, no one really wants me to make a review of something that has already been reviewed thousands of times, like The Exorcist or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Friday the 13th. I mean, those videos would just be pointless in that case. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this particular video, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.